Hello everyone, my name is Nick, this is Deep Dives, and welcome to Interview Sessions. Today I'm honoured to be joined by the insanely talented David Menkin. David started out his acting career all the way back in 2001 in the TV movie Wit, before getting into voice acting in games such as Battlefield Bad Company, Valorant and LEGO Star Wars. While he was doing all of this, he was starring in TV series such as Thunderbirds Are Go, The Sandman, and Doctor Who. More recently, David portrayed Barnabas Tharmr in Final Fantasy XVI, where he gives a masterclass in being a brooding villain. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. That is quite the intro.
I do try my best, but it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. It's been a long time coming, actually. I think I met you at an event, was it last year, I think. It was the PC launch event for Final Fantasy XVI, and I said back then it'd be great to get you on and chat to you. So
yeah, and we've been trying to get this in the diary for a while now. So yes. I'm glad we finally managed to make it work.
We did it. Okay, so we'll get things kicked off with some Final Fantasy XVI related questions, of course.
Sure.
Final Fantasy XVI came out almost 2 years ago now. Looking back at your time making it, what was one of your fondest memories of the experience?
I think it's actually outside the booth, because I don't know if you know, but when we work in games, we are... everything is very secret, and NDAs are very strict. So for the most part, unless you're doing something called an ensemble record, where they bring people like as a group into a room to record together, for the most part we record by ourselves. And I didn't know who was in the game, and they weren't really wanting to tell me. So this was during COVID, so there wasn't a lot happening, and to get to the studio, you'd have to walk up from King's Cross and then like through some streets and stuff. And I kept on running into a colleague of mine on the way to and from, and we'd be honoring our NDAs. And it's like, hey, you're going to the studio. Nice. Oh, nice to see you. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then Ben Starr just said, do you know what? It just sounds like he's want to have sex with me each time I listen to your voice reference. And I went, I have no idea what you're talking about, Ben. Absolutely no idea. So he'd had a chance to listen to me, but I hadn't had a chance to listen to him. So yeah. Anyway, that was a nice experience. And from then on, we started messaging and stuff. But that was just it was a very sort of human interaction in a time that was crazy. I was for some, like the people who were making the game, they insisted that we come into the studio. So it was one of the few jobs where I actually got to leave the house and go in, and it was like, you'd come in and all you would smell was like bleach and hand sanitizer, and like they had microphones set up in like different height levels, and so they wouldn't have to come in and change anything. So it was a very very lonely time. And that little interaction over, I think, some weeks and maybe a month, where our bookings intersected, it was very nice. And we didn't break our NDA. So,
if you're listening, Square, they were good boys. Okay.
They know we follow the rules most of the time. But yeah, and then after that, there was the first time things sort of changed for us was we were invited to this event at the Tower of London, and it was nuts. It was they'd made like a real recreation of Clive's sword, and people were invited to come and play the game, and I got to meet the team from Square, and it was awesome. And that's sort of when things started kicking up a notch, and then I got to meet the other actors who were involved, and yeah, it was very nice, and I got to sort of have a little taste of what the fandom was like.
Oh, that's amazing. It's funny actually you said that. I have a picture of myself with Clive's sword as well. When I went to visit the Square Enix offices on a couple of occasions. They have one.
Oh, they let you in, huh?
They have one there. Yeah, well, they shouldn't have. No, they did. It's fine. I was playtesting something secret. That's
very cool.
Well, I say at the time it was secret. People know now about it, but it was we got to look around all the paraphernalia and stuff like that. It was really cool. But
it's awesome. Did they have the Buster Sword there when you were visiting?
Yes. Yeah.
It's nuts, huh?
Yeah. Really cool stuff.
Anyway, we're not going to make people jealous by talking about visiting Square Enix's offices. Yeah.
Fair comment. As far as villains go, Barnabas is, I would say, cool as shit. He really is. He also happens to have the best icon.
Yes, I agree.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, well.
Of course, Barnabas being so cool is in part down to your performance. What was your inspiration for creating Barnabas's overwhelming presence?
There was a couple of things. So first of all, I got to work with some an amazing team from Square Enix and from Schlock who were part of writing the script. They were sort of the narrative team on it. But the one thing that I kind of had to push for, and they weren't so sure about in the beginning, was the fact that I don't necessarily think that a villain always has to be sitting down here talking like this, but that's usually what you get. But when you have someone who has lived for a very long time and has been through it, who has experienced everything and more, I realized that Barnabas had nothing to prove. He had a job. He was a zealot. Yep, absolutely. But he was stronger than anybody else. He was a better fighter than arguably anybody else. But then they wanted, or I thought maybe that they wanted me to bring it down to the, into my boots. And I said, I think this is a person who doesn't feel that he has to push anything. So how about if he just sits there and he just talks like this? And he just makes sure that no matter where you are, if you're on the other mountain from him, if he wants you to hear him, you will. And it was this thing, and this thing sort of blossomed from my chest. He was just, there he was. And I was very worried that they wanted this like dude who was going to bellow at them. Little did I know Ralph Ineson was involved. So I now understand why they were like, yeah, sure. And that was a really nice part of it. The other part was the fact that they pretty much said, we're basing the accent around you and a few other people. So feel free to go with what you believe he should sound like. And he doesn't sound like a Norwegian or a Swede or an Icelandic person. He sounds like he's from that part of the world, and it made him sound different, and was able to give me chances to sort of put emphasis on certain parts of certain words And we joke about it now, but mythos is part of my life now, and it was something that we sort of hit upon in the studio, mostly because I wasn't quite sure how they wanted me to say it. So the way I would remember how to say it would just be to sound like somebody meowing. But anyway, yeah, long-winded answer to a very short question, but I hope that gets us there.
Oh no, it's perfect. How have you found the Final Fantasy fan base's response to you and your character post-release?
I mean, for the most part, people have been absolutely amazing. And I think that, straight talk, that people were a little bit disappointed when they were playing it that I didn't turn completely, or that Odin wasn't who Clive had his moment with at the end there. It was Barnabas, because I loved the fact that he had a chance to, for the first time in however long, finally feel challenged, and therefore didn't want to let go of himself, and fully go into the icon. I think that yes, there was some initial talk about that, but then what's great about this game is that people keep on replaying it, and I get such interesting feedback where they go, I came back to it, and I realized that everything Clive's talking about, and everything that we think, in comparison to what Barnabas thinks he's talking about in his religious zealotry, actually the fact that Barnabas has his last moment, where he doesn't want to let go. He actually is embracing what was before. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers while answering, so I'm not going to say certain keywords here, but I have a feeling most of your viewers will have played. But in case they haven't, there is something about Barnabas that he has let go of, and I love the fact that a lot of the fans have actually embraced that part of it, and I think that it was, at the end of it, a very smart move by the creators of this game. So, but what I can say is that I have met a lot of very cool people after this game was released, and it was something that we talked about, because when we went to LA for the launch event, it was very weird because I wasn't allowed to talk about who Barnabas was, what he did. So I had to approach it very differently. And I remember saying that something that someone had said to me about a project some years ago, where there was this moment where we were there at the launch event, and I said, "It's not our game anymore. It's your game." And that's something that is kind of bittersweet when you've spent several years working on something. So, but there was real joy in it, because I got to meet people before they knew anything about who Barnabas was, and they were just like, "Oh my God, it's you!" I'm like, "Do you know who I am?" And I realize how hardcore you guys go. And since then, I'm on Cameo, so I get a lot of requests, and hilariously, people just want me to just abuse them, really. I'm used to that after having played Malos in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so I really I embrace that fully. But speaking of, having been embraced by this fandom has been one of the highlights of my career.
Oh, that's amazing. And as in any fandom, you can, if you look deep enough, they would have basically created like everything for you, like websites, this, that I guarantee there is going to be fan pages dedicated to Barnabas, like just for Barnabas. Like,
I did a joke. We because Ben Starr, marketing genius, and that comes like 7th in the list of like superlatives I can say about Ben. But he's an amazing actor. He is a wonderful colleague. He's a great friend. He is generous to a fault. He also is an amazing writer. And he, at one point, was like, we need to do a little marketing video with everybody and stuff. And I was like, okay, how am I going to make this different? And I realized that Barnabas should be stepping out of the shower. So I was wearing a bathrobe and a big towel around my head. And nobody noticed that I had I'd drawn a big scar on my chest. Nobody cared about that. But now I get fan art where of other characters from other games attending Barnabas's spa. So yeah, it's it takes off. The little things you don't think about. The fact that we did when Ben was touted to be the next Mario. We got involved in that too, and it was great. And it was very nice for people to realize how unhinged we are as a group of people. We all lent in, and we also got to hang out with each other, which we didn't get to do while we were recording.
Yeah.
So thanks to the fandom, I get to see the people involved in this game more. I mean, still, like, just recently, a lot of us were in the same room because of Final Fantasy. Right. So,
and
feeling very lucky.
That will hopefully continue for many years, right? That's the thing.
Hey, as long as they'll have us, and as long as new platforms become available, out now on Xbox.
I was going to say, see you on PlayStation 6, 7, and 8.
Absolutely.
For the re-releases.
Yes.
And so you did mention already that you'd worked on a lot of Final Fantasy solo. How hard was it working so isolated and not having anyone to bounce off of? Because I know a lot of old school, like when I've spoken to other voice actors before from, say, a lot older video games, they mentioned that you would read from a spreadsheet almost, your lines.
An Excel spreadsheet, yep.
Yeah. Is it, I mean, I'm assuming that's still the same. But
very much so, yeah. Because you can imagine how many lines are in a game like this, and so therefore what we have to realize when we're in there doing sort of a creative exercise is that the most important thing is that we are fulfilling our job and we are saying all of the lines that we are expected to say. The only way that they can do that is by tracking this. So it all goes into a spreadsheet and it gets color coded. So if it's green, it means that we read it exactly as it was written. If it's yellow, it means that this is the studio that we were at. If it's yellow, it means that we've changed something. So they might have had me do, they might get me to change a word, or if I kind of say, hey, it's actually much nicer if we remove the contraction and we say, I will instead of I'll. Things like that. So then it's yellow, and then sometimes they'll say, actually, we don't need this line red. They'll label it red. And the color. And then, so that's why they do it that way. It's a little bit different when you're recording in groups together. And I know that a lot of games are finding ways to make that happen, because you do find some magic when people actually get to speak to each other. But what's great about video games these days is that we usually have people from the narrative team in the room, and we also have a performance director in the room.
Okay.
Sometimes they're the same person. So we had a mix of that. We had Hannah Price, who was our performance director. Amazing. And my God, if you look up her CV, it's nuts. But we also had Morgan and Ollie from Schlock, who at one point took over the direction, not just the narrative. And they were there, to make sure that if we changed something, it meant that we then were changing things in Japanese, in Italian, in French. So they would have to keep track of all that. So there's all these things that you have to think about. I'm coming back to your question, I promise. But I'm just laying the groundwork here for all like the sort of the technical stuff, because some people are interested. If you're not, I hope you put me on 2 times. But bring me back to 1 now. Okay. Now, for me, if I have somebody explaining where I am, what I'm doing, what kind of situation I'm in, and then they read the lines to me, they've sort of helped me create the vision inside my head of where we are and what my aim is. Because of course, with Barnabas, he always had an aim. And therefore I was able to do it. Like, I had to ask questions like, am I affected by weather? Am I affected by how far away someone is? And they were like, that's a great question. And no, you're not. Because when I didn't quite understand dominance and icons and stuff like that, they were like, just think of it like you are magically able to, you have this like inbuilt speaker system so they can just hear you everywhere. So with all of that in place, it meant that as long as I had someone speaking back to me and interacting with me, then I was fine. And also, Barney loves a monologue. Mm-hmm. Barney loves to explain. And so, for the most part, all we had was, Ben just going, no. And sorry, but sexier than that.
I hope he watches this.
He's going to kill me. Don't clip this. Oh my God. Anyway, when and they were like, at this point, you have dislodged every single sinew from Clive's body. I was like, okay, all right, cool. Am I out of breath? No, you're not. Excellent. That's where we were, because, this was a long time before the game was released, and they sent me the script. And it was thousands of pages long. I wasn't gonna read that. I read my stuff, but I didn't quite know what else was going on. So therefore, I had these amazing people sort of coloring in the world for me. That's what I needed. And what I will say though, is that when you have an opportunity to talk to someone in the studio, because it's about the interaction between the two of them, and you're going from sort of one place to another, you do get some magic when you get lots of people, you get those people in the same room. But at the same time, we are professionals, and from my sake, I did my first game in 2008. So I know how to do this. I've found ways to do it, and somehow they keep on hiring me, so I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. Doing something right. I mean...
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I mean, I say your credits are impressive. But we'll get onto that later.
Okay.
What was your favourite scene to film?
It was the final scene. Because it was the first time that I got to dig deep. You know?
That does lead me on to my next question.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, so I'll cover that quickly now.
Sure.
Because after playing Barnabas seriously all game, what was it like to finally let go during that final scene?
They had to pull me back.
Oh, wow, okay.
They had to pull me back because I didn't know about the voice filter. So I didn't realize that what would happen was that I would get pitched up. So they were like trying to explain to me like why it wasn't working, and I was like, wait a second, is this like the scene at the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit when we find out that he's a toon and he you know exactly what I'm talking about.
What a reference. Yeah.
And where he just starts pitching up and up and up and up and up. And I was like, oh crap, I need to bring it down because there will be something else there. So I took it too far, because if it's one thing I have a capacity for, it's to chew scenery and to be big. So we did sort of have to pull me back a little bit. But then as soon as I sort of got the framework of that, what was important for me was figuring out, you know, I'm not going big just to be big. What I need to do is I need to have the entire roller coaster be there. And the end of the roller coaster is the most important part. So as long as I'm doing something where the lowest point is not outdone by the biggest, and that's why, you know, I think it worked because I got to go nuts, and then I got to have the moment of, I guess, humanity, the child, you know, at the very, very end. And yeah, well, you know what? If you people don't know what I'm talking about, too bad. Anyway,
go play the game and
come back to this.
Yeah. It was. I loved that entire sequence. I mean, not only obviously you get the monologue, but you get the fight as well, which is just absolutely insanely brilliant. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
And also, we love a fake out. We love a, oh, he's dead. No, he's not.
Not really. Yeah, he's.
I said I would make you presentable.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. I got to do a villain fake out death, and then back, and then I got to grab Clive's leg.
There you go. What more could you ask for?
What more could you want?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. Barnabas is a great villain, and you did an absolutely sterling job portraying him.
Thank you. Thank you.
He will go down. When you talk about villains in games, you know, there are always ones that stand out, and I think Barnabas is going to go down in history as another one of those characters on that list of memorable villains. So,
thank you. Thanks very much.
Well done.
You just love a good goatee and some tight leather pants, don't you? That's what it is.
Exactly.
Got your number.
You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Okay. We're going to go all the way back now and talk about Tiny David.
Okay.
Just for a little bit. And
sure.
The rise to fame and fortune, which swept you away. So you were born in the coastal town of Moss, if I'm correct, in Norway, and lived there for a time before moving to, is it Benin? Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yeah, it's, if the French would say Benin, and we say Benin.
Benin, okay.
Yeah.
Which is in West Africa.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in Moss, and how did a young David spend his time there?
So what was great was I grew up on an island called Yele, which is on the Oslo Fjord. So we had access to the sea, and we also had access to the woods. So so if you walked 5 minutes, you would be in the woods from where we lived. And I had friends who we were just allowed to be out and about until until it got dark. That's when you knew it was over. And of course, Norwegian summers, they're pretty long. So that would always change. It was like, if it's when you're hungry, you have to come home because that means it's dinner time,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. And then because of my dad's job, we moved to Benin. And I think that probably is why, I have so many memories being a 4-year-old, because it was such a shift in culture, such a shift in experience, and it was amazing. I mean, man, we went through it health-wise. I had malaria twice.
Oh wow.
My sister got super sick. Everybody got sick because, bless us, we hadn't met a bacteria in the woods of Norway, but I still remember so much. It was Benin is the home of voodoo, which, as everybody said there at the time, you don't have to believe in it, you just have to respect it, and boy, do you have to respect it.
Okay.
And it was also pretty much the gateway for slavery. So that's where most of the ships went towards the Americas and so on. So we were made aware of a lot of stuff.
Right.
And it made such an impact on me. And then from that, sort of going back to Norway again, I was like, where am I? And, by that point, all of my friends had learned how to ski, so I had to practice on the garden. And then up until the age of 10, we were there, loved it, made loads of friends, fell in love with watching Transformers on, I forget if it was Sky Channel or Super Channel.
Respect points just went up.
Thank you very much. I had, I had some of the toys, but I also was like, I want to sound like that. So that was sort of set as sowing some seeds. And then my dad got another job, and we moved to the UK, and I moved to Surrey, and I went to an American international school there. And and that's when I'd been singing at that point, got involved in musicals and plays, and eventually started working with sort of youth theater outside the school. Just absolutely loved it. I think I sort of at first was just really enjoying the attention, and then started really enjoying the work. Went to New York University. Came back halfway through due to, typical family money things. It's very expensive to go to NYU.
Oh, I bet.
Came back to the UK and went to a drama school called Mountview and did a postgraduate there instead. And went out into the real world. Thought I was going to be on stage. But my first job was working with Emma Thompson and Mike Nichols in a movie called Wit. Yes. Based on a stage play. Had a small part in that, but that changed a lot for me. And then I started working at a Norwegian TV station broadcasting from the UK. So I had to introduce programs, talk in between programs, promote them, learned how to write, learned how to tease, learned how to use my voice, and from that sent off some like mini discs with like me talking underneath my covers and stuff, and they were like, you need to go and make it a professional demo. I did that, got an agent, and then suddenly I wasn't just an actor. I was also a voiceover artist and an actor who used his voice. So how long did that take me? 7 minutes?
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
In between the 2-year gap where
Yeah.
you graduated and getting your first role in Wit,
Yeah.
were you ever worried that you wouldn't make it? Was there
Man.
Was there a fear of, that maybe pressured you into considering other options?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just me who was worried, it was family members who were worried. People were very kindly saying to me, like, what do you do if you can't make it? What are you sure you're good enough to do this? And I had to sort of sit there and one thing that is sort of part of my generation is that you weren't supposed to sell yourself too hard. You weren't supposed to, brag about stuff. And I had to figure out that self-belief isn't necessarily bragging. And learning how to sell myself, learning all that kind of stuff. It was really difficult because growing up in Norway, it's a social thing. You are nothing unless society tells you that you are something. And I think a lot of societies, a lot of countries have a similar version of that.
Yeah.
But then there's the American part of me. I'm half American, where it's like, I'm gonna make it whether you like it or not. And then all the you watch the reality shows where everyone has this level of self-belief, which is bordering on like delusion, and you're going, am I deluded? No. But then, thankfully, what started happening was that I'd get hired, but then they'd bring me back. So clearly, I was doing something right.
Yeah. And I know. Well, so looking at your history after that, I think you definitely did. After Wit, you did a couple of smaller roles, including a film called Octane that Norman Reedus was in, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You were in the Alias game as well.
By the way, Norman Reedus looked exactly like it looks now. I was at the Death Stranding 2 launch party, and I'm like, how does a person look exactly the same?
He's a vampire, probably.
He is because he doesn't like look young. He just looks like Norman Reedus.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
Me too. Me too.
But you did all of this, like you said, while working as a continuity announcer at the TV station.
And I was doing theater at the time as well. So I was doing like musicals and plays, and I was so like stuff that doesn't really show up because it's theater. So yes, I was busy, but not necessarily fulfilled.
Then an opportunity came along to work in Battlefield, Bad Company, as Captain Preston Marlowe, which I don't know, at the time, did you realise what a big deal the Battlefield franchise was, and afterwards, how much did it change the trajectory of your career path?
To give you an idea about things, so my brother was career military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And while I was at university, the Norwegian government had a thing where everybody had to do basic service 1 year, except for extenuating circumstances. And if you didn't do that, then you had to work, I think, for a year and a half doing sort of community service type jobs. And I was in New York at the time, and I got a letter through saying, you will be expected at this base, and if you don't turn up, we will come and get you.
Oh, wow.
So I called them up, used a lot of money on my sort of international phone card at the time. And I just went, hi, Glenn Menkin is my brother. And the guy who answered was like, yeah, I know Glenn Menkin. We went to sort of the Norwegian equivalent of Sandhurst together. And I was like, yeah, well, the thing is, I think my brother has done a lot for this country. I'm an actor. I'm studying in New York. I think that my brother has done enough on behalf of my entire family. What do you think? What I'm realizing is I'm like talking to the head honcho for this. And he was like, do you know what, David? I agree. And so that was my military experience.
Oh, wow.
And so first of all, I was helping a casting director out with a casting. And she was like, I'm casting this game? Because she was Swedish. She was working with DICE, who quite recently had been acquired by EA Games, I think. I forget how many years it had been. But anyway, but they were based in Stockholm. She had a base in Stockholm and London, and they needed Americans. So she was like, help me out with this casting. I was like, yeah, sure. Sending people in and out, seeing some interesting, sometimes like mildly famous people. And at the end of the day, she was like, do you know what? Just go in and just read, see what happens. And I got it. I got the job. So my mom didn't let me play games. My dad would sort of maybe let me play some of the old Sierra games on his PC. But for the most part, nope. The closest I got, like for a while, she thought that the Amiga 500, because it had a word processor. So I got away with that for a while until my mom came in and saw us playing like Invasion of the Ants or something. She's like, what is this? So I wasn't really a gamer. But what was great was that I came in and I worked with a director who was a film director, because they were so clear that they wanted to change the way games were made. And if anyone's interested in this, you should have a look at the advertising campaign for Battlefield Bad Company, the first game, because we made fun of all of the other games in our campaign. So we had, somebody hiding inside a barrel. And to give you an idea of who we were making fun of there, we were making fun of Call of Duty. We were making fun of everybody. And it was their aim, if I'm correct here, was to create a buddy movie.
Yeah.
And they were working with brand new tech. It was the PlayStation 3, I think, that they were working with. So suddenly the sandbox was a lot bigger. We could continue. We had now the tech to continue cutscenes while we were playing. While you were playing. So it wasn't just this thing of a cutscene being there to decompile lots of data and then load the next scene. That's what those cutscenes were there for first. But now they wanted to be able to tell the story while we were then playing afterwards. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, I was the smallest part of the amazing stuff because it was the other members of my squad that were the funny guys. And I was the straight guy because I was the player character. Right. But they allowed me to give Preston enough, because he had to be the hero, the unlikely hero. So bit by bit, we realized, oh no, he has to have his own sense of humor and has to sort of break out of his shell and stuff. And as we went into the second game, that became very clear. And I ended up swearing at one point, and the other's like, oh, whoa, this has to be serious because Preston swore. But it shook up everything for me. And what happened was, because I was in such a big game, the people who record games in the UK, the companies that do so, they were like, well, okay, he is trustworthy. So I would then get called in to audition for stuff. And I'll tell you what, I'd get called in because celebrities weren't interested in this. So it was like, I'd get called in for a lead role. I'd get called in for a tiny NPC. It didn't matter. And I didn't have any ego about it because, well, first of all, they didn't tell me what I was in until I was sort of sometimes after the game was released. But it was amazing. And it changed my view on things. And of course, it was a lot more interesting because you look at me and on screen, I play the CIA guy, the Scandinavian guy, the army guy, the asshole. And suddenly in games, I could be all these things. I was two Ninjago characters. Suddenly the world sort of broadened for me, and it changed everything. And I started by then watching walkthroughs of games because I wanted to understand how the stuff that I did fit into these games. And then from there, I then started playing. And now I get it.
Yes. Now, still on the topic of characters you've played, excluding characters such as Luke Skywalker, Preston Marlowe, and Barnabas, what are some of your other favourite roles that you've played over the years?
Right. There's one highlight, and that is Malos in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A game that has been historically said to be sort of troubled. We were very restricted in how we could record it. We had very little information. Sometimes what we did in the studio after we were told what was happening would be very, very different to how it ended up in the game. But I had, I think, the best time of my life recording that character. He is nuts. I've said this before on another podcast, but it's when a puppy hasn't been raised with its own litter and is owned by an abusive person, that dog will start to see that person as it's the leader of its pack. I'm not going to say alpha anymore because supposedly that doesn't exist anymore, and the wolf pack thing. But and because of that, he was so unpredictable, and he lived only in his feelings. And I was like, I kind of live only in my feelings. How about if I just dial it up? And it was the most cathartic, amazing experience so far in my career because it was a huge, it was sort of a challenge and an invitation to take it as far as I could within, they'd say, that was great. What you did was great, but you did it in 13 seconds. It needs to be 12.5 seconds.
Okay.
That's how ridiculously tight it all was. And I reveled in it because it just sort of became this experience of fine, give me my framework, and then I'm going to go nuts inside it. I'm going to color in every single part of that painting. And I did, and I'm very proud of it. And I think that it is because people don't quite know what we had to go through in order to make it happen. When I watch it back, I'm like, yeah, this is what I was aiming for. This guy is who I thought he was. And I had no I had a picture of him, and I had some stuff where I'd see some animation of him jumping off a cliff and things like that. But for the most part, I had nothing. And man, he was awesome. So, and then, goddamn, let me have a look. Let me just check my credits, because I've done a lot.
Yeah,
Nick. I've worked for a bit.
you were Dag in Assassin's Creed as well.
Listen, there is something to be said for having your own subreddit, even though it's called Fuck Dag. Yeah, I was also a German cow in Peppa Pig's World Adventures. And do you know what? I love Breach. I think he's awesome. I think he's amazing.
So I've not played Valorant.
No.
So
and it's a like a capture the flag. It's 5v5, right? And with that, you're like, well, what's to be said? Well, have you seen Arcane? Do you understand what Riot does? Do you think they just create these characters willy-nilly and don't give us a hell of a lot of backstory and like stuff that I can't talk about because it's stuff that will come out about my character in a couple of years, because they've got it all planned out. They're insane. Those people are insane. And in the best way. And they're awesome. And it's so weird because and it's not about me. It's about the people who play it. It's just not about me. And I sort of had to come to terms with that. I'm like, well, do I like, is there like a Valorant convention? And they're like, yeah, but it's for the players. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. All right. Awesome. One thing I will say is I'm sort of part of like a hidden Easter egg in something. And anyone who's played Control, when I tell them this, they lose their mind. Okay, fine.
Hello.
I am the voice of America overnight.
Really?
I'm the radio voice. Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's another thing that like I go, because you can imagine what the people involved in that game like knew and created and stuff like that.
Sam Lake is a genius.
Sam Lake is a fucking genius.
He really is.
And I have friends who are friends with him, and they just keep on going. He is the nicest, most generous man, and he is who, he's the hot dude who drinks coffee and is awesome. So when you go in and you work for someone like him and with his entire team, because he also hires people who are just as fucking awesome as him. I hope it's okay. You don't have to bleep.
No.
About him.
You carry on.
Okay, good. But so you go in and you're like, this is really good material. And they go, and I'm like, so like, where am I in this? How are you how are you animating this? And they're like, you're like an Easter egg. You're like something that's hidden. I spoke to somebody who I've just recently worked for. Oh, yeah, fine. It's the narrative lead on the DLC of Still Wakes the Deep. So Still Wakes the Deep, Siren's Rest.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've just remembered that fact that you were in that.
Yeah.
I have a copy of it and I am yet to start it.
Oh, awesome.
I'm so sorry. That's the people that gave me the code. I haven't.
Right.
My schedule has been absolutely jam-packed. My intention was to play through it before you actually came on the show.
I see. No worries. Seriously, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I will shout out the Chinese room. When it comes to narrative, and when it comes to just story and beauty, when it comes to sound, when it comes to the world, the visuals, everything. They're so good. So I get to work with people like that. I get to work with Sam Lake. Sagar, who was leading the team on Still Wakes the Deep, Siren's Rest, he said that when he found out that he had the same reaction as you, and he goes, what I had to do was, because like if you walk too far away, then you don't hear the rest of the recording. So he would go there and he would pause, and you'd still be able to hear the rest of the recording. So like we weren't a big deal in that game, but whenever I tell someone who's played it, who's like really played it, because it's not easy to find all of them. You can find them on YouTube now, by the way. It's that kind of stuff. And isn't it weird to say that like some of my favorite work is something that took me an hour?
Not really, I don't think so. It's the memorable things, isn't it? It's our best takeaways in life are always the things that resonate with us and strike that emotional response in our hearts. So I think that's fine. Yeah.
And DAG was an interesting experience from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because I recorded that from home during lockdown.
Wow.
And I was very late in the game. I was up for another role, and I had to go to the States to release a short film that I was in, and I wasn't able to finish the audition process. So they brought me in very much at the end, and he fulfills his role. He is there. He's there to piss people off.
Yeah.
And man, I achieved that.
I did give him his axe though. So
you did.
I did.
Thank you. Most of the people I know, people who are close to me, didn't, because they knew it was me.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I say it came out at a time, I think, where I'm going to call it Viking hype, because there seemed to be a period of time where everything was Vikings. I think the TV show was in full flow, which I've only just watched recently, mind. Off the back of playing Valhalla. My wife was very much into. She goes, "You should really watch Vikings." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Wow." But sorry, off topic there.
And what I like to tell people is that I, for pretty much the entirety of Vikings and its next iteration on Netflix, I went in and did post-production sound on that. So helped create sort of the soundscape around it. So I know a lot of that series. And but yes, Viking hype was a thing. And do you know what? People are not done. People want more.
I hope not, because it's, as I said, after watching it, I was like, okay, I see it now. I see the vision.
Yep. And there's something coming on Amazon Prime that a lot of my friends are in. So you've got something to look forward to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye.
It was the press release came yesterday, so I'm not breaking any silences here.
Nice. Keep an eye out for that. Oh, you know what's another random thing? When I was looking through your credits, I saw that in 2016 you were in an episode of Red Dwarf.
I was.
Which is amazing, because I'm a big Red Dwarf fan ever since I was a wee boy, and I was So that was
It's
cool.
It's the one where technology is not allowed. Twentica.
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
So everything's sort of old school. I played a policeman and stuff. Anyway, and I worked with Sue-Ann Braun, who is famous for Stargate SG-1. She was the very sexy Goa'uld in that. So we got to meet each other on that, and I got to work with the team, which was great.
Yeah.
I've
met Chris Barry before. I have met Chris Barry before. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool that you're in Red Dwarf. Like I said, it's one of those, I want to call it treasure of British culture and television, especially if you're I don't know if you're watching any of the previous stuff from back in the day.
Because I lived in the UK, so I would spend the day in an American bubble, and then I'd come home and I'd watch British TV. So yeah, I mean, I did not understand a lot of the terms and stuff, but yeah. So that's also why like I was aware of Thunderbirds when I went in for my audition because it had sort of a resurgence in the 1990s. So but you know that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, what's happening? Our show was different, but we did look like them. Anyway, sorry. I digress.
Don't worry. You mentioned earlier that you were quite late to the gaming party.
Yeah.
Since getting into it, you've found love for games such as Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Journey, and Horizon. Do you ever get the urge to go back and maybe try some more old school stuff that you might have not had a chance to play? You know, like classic Resident Evils or even the OG Final Fantasy VII or something like that.
So, first of all, if you're friends with Ben Starr...
Okay, I know where this is going. How many times has he asked you to play Final Fantasy VIII?
It's not even funny anymore. I swear to God. Do you know what? I think Square Enix are humoring him. I think they're doing stuff just to humor him these days. They're like, okay, what would Ben like for us? And rightly so. But yes, I've been very interested in going back to it because I suck at turn-based. I absolutely suck at it. And I realized that that's because, like playing Expedition 33, I suck at it because it's a love letter to turn-based games. So the Troubadour, I hate him so much.
Oh, no.
But also, like, I don't. So there I am, like playing this game, and then suddenly I'm like, almost looking like tabletop down on this map, but I'm still moving my characters around. I'm like, what's going on here? And that's because I didn't grow up with that, right? My roommate in college had it was a PlayStation, I think, yeah, and so I got to play Resident Evil, and going down that hallway and getting attacked by that Doberman. I almost shat myself. And so, you know, there's certain things but the things I would play with my friends back then, like Echo the Dolphin and stuff.
Okay.
There's a nostalgia factor there, but the problem is that I'm never going to catch up. Never.
No.
So all I can do is find what I like, and that's what, you know, I get to speak to a lot of developers, and I really did worry about that. I'm like, I feel bad because I haven't played games like yours yet, and they're going, well, that's why you then, after you've been in our game, you play that game. I remember thinking, when I got my PS5, I was like, oh, do you know what I'll do? I'll play Returnal. And everyone was just like, no, you're not. You're not going to play Returnal because you will throw your console out the window.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because you're not ready for this. You need to ramp up. So I tell you what, yes, I'm playing Expedition 33 very slowly, but and it is so beautiful.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh my God. And the performances, but I will tell you what, when Ghost of Yotei comes
I was
out,
going to say, you must be
goodbye,
absolutely
everybody.
frothing to play Ghost of Yotei.
Yeah. And I've had a taste of what Erika Ishii can do. I can only imagine what's going to happen. And to those little shits online who are talking about Jaws and femininity and all that kind of stuff. Just wait till the game comes out. Shut the fuck up.
Yep. In that showcase, they had is it a lo-fi mode as well?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my lord, I'm gonna have some fun with this. It's gonna be a great experience, I think, when it comes out.
It's amazing. There are so many games I am looking forward to. I'm in a lot coming up. I wish I could talk about them. The stuff that's happening in games is, like, in the industry itself, a lot of it is awful. People losing their jobs, people being treated badly.
Yeah.
At the same time, film and TV there's just no way that they can do what's happening in games at the moment. It's amazing. I sort of tried to explain that when The Last of Us came out. Now, what I did do when I got my console was I played The Last of Us, and I got the updated version, the remaster, and then but then I had to play the 2, but that one was the original. So I was like, oh wow, the jump in tech is amazing. What's amazing about this is that it's not like in film. You can tell that there are certain movies made to make money, and then there are certain movies made for love, and they have much lower budgets. What I think about with games is that it's not. Yes, there are games that are there to make a lot of money, but what's amazing about it is that the people who are involved in making these games are so passionate about it.
Yeah,
that's something you see and you feel. And the ones where they don't listen to those people, they're the ones that fail. And man, we've got some good stuff coming.
We most certainly have. And it'll be good to see what you've got coming up as well, but which you can't talk about right now, of course. But
unfortunately not.
No,
have me back.
That'd be great. Right, we're going to round out. We're going to round out the show now with 3 quick-fire questions.
Oh crap!
I say quick-fire.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
We'll see. Is it true that you were a singer?
Yes. Yes. I used to do a hell of a lot of singing. That used to be sort of what I sold myself as, and I still sing on like jingles and stuff like that. But for example, now it's I think it was 4 years since I sang in public in front of an audience, and that was at my friend Sam's wedding in September. So it's been a while. It's been a while.
Oh, that's so cool. So I am a fellow singer. Believe it or not, I am a fellow singer. I love singing. Not very good at it anymore, because I'm out of practice. But
with the screaming that I do, I'm not very good. Not a great singer anymore either. I had to make a choice.
This is it. The art or the other art.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Next question. You've been quoted saying before, "I was always a weirdo." What is it that makes you a weirdo?
As I told you earlier, I have a lot of feelings. I feel a lot. And up until sort of the age of 17, I wasn't very good at keeping it bottled up. So I scared people and was very easy to make fun of, because I would get very excited when awesome things happened, and if I saw someone in the room with me getting yelled at, I would get upset. Wow. And that's a hell of a lot. That's a lot for me to deal with, but it's also a lot for others to deal with. So therefore, I wasn't very popular when I was in my early teens, and I learned with the help of some friends, some really lovely people, to sort of regulate that. I got slightly too good at it for a while, sort of shut my feelings off. I'm getting better at expressing myself, but I'm still a weirdo, but I've sort of found my clans and my communities. So I get to open myself up in safe spaces, which is awesome.
That's great. I was going to say, asking for a friend, how did you learn to control that? But, we could talk about that offline.
Man, yeah. It's hard, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Final question, and this is random. But here we go. Who wins in a fight out of Luke Skywalker and Barnabas? I sort of wrote the question down, and then I started thinking about it because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm actually wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. Maul, he's my favourite character.
And he survived, right? There was like a weird thing, lore-wise.
So he survived being chopped in half.
Yes.
Got replaced with spider legs. And then eventually had regular legs. And then, again, met his end to Obi-Wan Kenobi years later.
In the desert or something.
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah, I want to say it was Rebels.
Yes, yes.
But, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So when I wrote this question down, I was like, now I'm thinking about the Force versus the powers in Final Fantasy XVI, and like, how does that even contest? But I'd be interested to hear what you think.
It's interesting, isn't it? Well, this is the okay. We need to qualify this.
Okay.
Where in Luke Skywalker's development or his age are you putting Barnabas up against him?
That's a good point.
Because if Luke is able to do what he did across from the other side of the galaxy, yes, it may have killed him, but that's stronger. The Force at that point is stronger than anything an Akashic could do. So if it's old Luke, hands down, Luke.
I think the fairest way to do it is the way that the Death Battle does it, and they always take the character at the peak of their powers. So Luke. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
He wasn't even there.
It was such a good scene. He's just like oh, damn.
So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So sorry to all my Final Fantasy fans, but unfortunately, my boy Luke, he wins.
Even if Barnabas gets Odin out, I think Luke finds a way. I don't know if you've seen. You ever play? I can't remember the name of the game. Force Unleashed, where Star Killer, who manages to bring down an entire Star Destroyer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like, fair enough.
Yeah. And yes, but some interesting stuff coming out about the Force. Like, is it just one side or the other, or is the wild stuff, is that actually where it's supposed to live? Anyway, we could talk about that for hours.
We really could.
But yes, and I will say that come on, the moment in The Mandalorian, I did cry.
The end of season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't not get emotional watching that. I mean, it's in part nostalgia, I think, and then the gravitas of the scene itself, followed by the conclusion. All of it was just an incredibly well shot emotional roller coaster, and I was
exactly.
So
and what happens is that for a moment, it's like a direct umbilical back to the moment we sat in that chair and we watched, and our brains exploded when we saw Luke, or when we played Final Fantasy VIII for the first time, whatever it may be. that is the thing that I feel so lucky to be part of, because somewhere, somehow, I'm something that I do in a studio or on a set or whatever it is gets to help someone reconnect with the kid before all the baggage, and that is worth so much. I'm not saying that this is like me being like I'm giving so much. I'm saying no, I am so lucky to be part of that gift. So and that's one of the reasons I never want to stop doing this, because man, this business is hard.
I bet.
But when the good stuff happens, and when you reach someone, when you touch someone without that sounding weird.
Oh, that's perfect.
And David Menkin's canceled. Okay.
But no, I will say something you said there is resonated with me, because people ask me a lot of the time what I do, and without trying to sound, I don't know, there is a part of it that you get self-gratification out of being in the limelight, and but mainly I want to entertain people, because the journey through life is pretty shit a lot of the time. It's really tough, and if for just 5 minutes I can make that journey a little bit easier, then that's made me feel better. Same with what you do, like everything you do in your performances and stuff. When you're entertaining people, you're making their journey easier, and it's a tough job, and thankfully
saying I'm important.
Yes, you're very important.
Thank you. As are you, and that's the thing, isn't it? We are very lucky to do what we do, and man, as long as we can do it, that's
keep on keeping
anyway. Exactly.
Right.
So nice talking to you.
Thank you. I was going to say, David, thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure having you here. If you've got stuff coming up that you can talk about, now is probably a good time to talk about it. I understand you're in a new movie recently called Head of State. Is that correct?
Heads of State. Yeah, I'm a small part of it, but it's a really fun stunt role. I got to do my first ever stunts.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And let's just say what happens to me in that movie made a lot of my friends really happy.
Okay.
Because they're awful people.
Oh,
that's all I will say. No spoilers beyond that. But it's also a great movie. It's awesome. And yeah. And also play Tron Catalyst, because that's awesome too. That's a direct umbilical to my childhood. And Still Wakes the Deep is an amazing story, and I'm super lucky to have been part of another chapter there.
Amazing stuff. If you want to catch David on the socials, you can follow him on Twitter at David Menkin, and on Instagram also at David Menkin as well. If I've missed anything.
Blue Sky is davidmenkin.com.
Okay, Blue Sky as well. Anything else that people can catch you on? Or?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, weddings, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, funerals. If you want to hear from your favorite characters, I'm more than happy to oblige on Cameo.
Book him right now, folks. I'm telling you, that is my direct order.
Yeah.
As per usual, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my patrons for your support. You're all absolutely amazing. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you like what you watched today, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also like this video. Once again, feedback and comments is always welcome. You can follow me on Twitter I don't call it X, sorry, it's Twitter, at DonPedroX for regular updates on upcoming videos. And I've actually opened up, finally, my Instagram, so you can follow me on there, and that is just Nick_Petrositi as well. And I post shorts over on deep_dives_shorts on TikTok, because that's the thing that I have to do. Like I said, if you fancy supporting me,
algorithm.
Oh no, it's for someone who doesn't like using social media, it's an absolute nightmare to navigate. But here we are. Finally, if you like what I do and fancy supporting me, I have that Patreon that we spoke about earlier. Links will be in the description of this video. Any support you can give would be absolutely amazing. Right, folks, and David, thank you so much, and thank you all for watching, and we shall see you next time. Bye bye now.